President Muhammadu Buhari nominates 7 new ministers to fill up the gap for those who vied for several positions. Good morning and welcome to the program, The Dailies on Equa Television, the 21st day in the month of June, year 2022. I'm Owola Bitosin and I will be doing this alongside with Sele Elisha. Good morning, Sele.
Morning, Tosin.
Hope you had a good rest.
And how about you? How's your health?
I'm good. Sorry, it's the 22nd day, not 21st, to 22nd day in the month of June, year 2022. And we'll start with reviewing papers, and we'll start with the Al Jazeera newspaper. But before we start, we're live on Facebook. Do well to drop your comments, and half past the hour, our phone lines will be opened for you to call on stories that interest you on the papers we'll be reviewing and also happenings in our nation. So let's start with the Al Jazeera newspaper.
Yes, the first story on the midweek Al Jazeera, we have Buhari nominates 7 new ministers. And on Ekiti Guba, groups say criminalization of vote trading. And we know there have been stories coming out concerning the Ekiti polls where people were talking about that there was vote buying. In fact, on social media, I happened to stumble on a story where a mother and her daughter were crying that after selling their vote, the 5,000 naira that was promised to them, they didn't get that money. And this will take us back to the fact that we really need to draw the ears of the youth and also to remind them the fact that after selling your vote, what next? Because once these politicians mount the whatever seat they are buying for at the end of the day, they won't even remember you. And then what will 5,000 naira do to you for the next 4 years? That is if you are actually alive to, witness those 4 years. So I think we really need to be wise when it comes to issues like this. And even though we're seeing groups are actually seeking for the criminalization of that, we are hoping that INEC will also look into that. Whatever is the issue, if there was any vote buying of any form, that those who are involved in that will be brought to book, that the rule of law need to take its place. Because at the end of the day, we know that this Ekiti was actually supposed to look like the test for other elections that are coming up. The Oshun, the election that is coming in July, and also to look at the 2023 elections also that are by the corner. So I just hope that we'll look into that, and also to remember that no matter what, if people would just tell you that your vote will not count, but I think we have said this over and over, and we keep reminding them that if your vote don't count, why do they then ask you to sell your votes at the end of the day? So I hope that our youth and even women and everybody will remember that women are more than dancing, youth are more than being talks or causing crisis when it comes to election. We should know that at the end of the day, our PVCs are right, and we need to do the right thing.
So on this platform, we've talked about vote buying, times without number, and we've advocated on people to do the right thing, because just like you've earlier established on this issue of vote buying, we had it when in the Ekiti election about vote buying, where we saw people even displaying the cash that was given to them when their vote was being bought. And we see where people even come up to say, I want to sell my vote. And even I know on the 12th of June we spoke about this issue, because it goes a long way beyond the 5,000 you receive. What can 5,000 do to you for 8 years? Because I don't even look at this for 4 years, because when they assume that position, they go extend it to 8 years. Imagine 5,000 for 8 years. Imagine your life. Imagine lack of job. Imagine no food for 8 years. There's no growth. There's no development for 8 years, and you just sell your vote for 5,000. We've said it. If your vote is not important, these people will not even go down to your place to buy your vote. We should need to do the right thing, and we need to vote with our conscience. Like you said, this Ekiti election is just like a way of to start up the election process. We have that for Osun State on the 18th of July, and now we see that just for this Ekiti election, where there've been rumors about this vote buying, and now we see that it has extended to taking people to court, because Oni has taken the present present governor-elect to court concerning the issue of vote buying and so many things. We need to do the right things. We need to vote with our conscience. And I would say we have everything glaring to us, because now look at the issue of the youths at home that are used for talk. ASU is on strike, and ASU have been on strike right from the 14th, and now we see that this issue, they are not even looking into this issue because of what is on their table, the election process. And now we see that youths are at home, they are the ones being used as talk. Even after graduation, now we see our corpers are in the camp, no job opportunity. Even after you graduate from after you pass out from this camp, you go about moving around in seeking for jobs, and what is being presented to you is not even up to what you need. Even if you get the job, you imagine your take-home pay at the end of the day. There are no job opportunities. You see, farmers cannot even go to their farm any longer. Then why should we go to the extent of even selling our votes? We need to do the right thing. We need to come out in numbers. We need to vote. And also, when people come to solicit for your vote, when people come to buy your vote, we should do the right thing. We should say no. I keep on referring to the video I saw about a neighboring country, Ghana here, where they were giving them bags of rice, and these youths were throwing these bags of rice back, and they said they don't want all this. They want development, they want jobs, they want open doors for them, they want opportunities, they want good road, they want infrastructure, because if all these things are put to place, they will benefit from it one way or the other. And I would like to say about this vote buying, it's not about the youths any longer. We see women, we see aged, we see the young are involved in this vote buying, and we need to kick against it. Even as a television station, we always come to you to tell you that you should do the right thing. You need to do the right thing in going out in numbers to vote for the right and the credible leader, someone you know that can put things in place for us to go. Because I say, if you assume position, even as a governor, as a house of rep, as a minister, or as a president, and everything is working out fine, you will even benefit from it, Sele. But if things are not working out fine, it even goes down to everyone suffering from it. Look at our health sector now, and we just see the outbreak of monkeypox on the plateau, where 2 people died as a result of this monkeypox outbreak. And our hospitals, there are no facilities to even cure these menace, and even to even cure people of all these illnesses and all this outbreak of diseases. We need to do the right thing, and it starts from you. If we keep on saying the government are not doing the right thing, then what are you doing? Because when we say change begins with you. It begins with it begins with you. We need to do the right thing. Come out on the day of elections, and I would like to say, for those in Osun State on the 18th of July, come out in number, vote the right person, and you should stop the issue of vote buying. Definitely they will come to you with packages, but we need to do the right thing for the government to do for the right government to come into power, for you and I to benefit from a smooth governance.
True, Tosin. Well, let's look at other stories still on the midweek Ajezra newspaper. The big story: marketers maul the new pump price, with the rider price no longer visible at 165 naira. As Lagos Abuja was hit, and I think the story has been trending from Monday concerning the price of fuel. We are just calling on the government and those involved to actually look into that. Other stories: Adudu Utazi emerged new Senate Minority Leader Whip. Detail of that can be found on page 10. And on Electoral Act, Deputy Speaker shut down attempt to override Buhari. And the Senate seek equality in pension payment for police and military, and we hope that this will not just be another lip service, but that they will look into that in detail. Other stories: Buhari senator, 2 others dump APC. That's Buhari senator, 2 others dump APC. You can look up that story on page 8. Nigerian Airlines and others to lose $7 million in 2022. This is coming from the economic down the turn for the decline in the Supreme Court justice welfare. Detailed on page 11. We have some picture stories here, so you can do well to grab the midweek Ajezra newspaper and read detail of any of the stories that's of interest to you.
And on the Guardian newspaper, on petrol, federal government insists on 165 naira pump price, advises against panic buying. And protests rock Enugu over PVC registration hurdle. And we know concerning the hurdles for the PVC registration, there are some areas where they collect money from people before they can register them. And we know that this PVC registration is supposed to be free. And we know just last week we spoke about called the conscience of the INEC officials and those who are responsible in doing the registration for people. It's supposed to be free. Do it free. And also the line, there should be a way that things can go on smoothly. There should be justice in everything, because we see that if you give the highest bidder, when you give them money, then they register, you give your PVC, then you see people who have nothing to offer stay long on the queue. They spend the whole day on the queue. But I keep on saying that it's better off we spend a day on the queue for the right thing to be done, because our vote it really matters come the election, this governorship election and even the presidential election. So I talk to the those responsible for the registration, even at the INEC centers, that they should do the right thing, and people should go out in numbers. And I really applaud the number of people coming out in different places. People are coming out, especially the youth. Sele, you need to see the way youths are coming out to get their PVC registered. And I'll say it should not just stop in registration alone. After registration, go back to collect your PVC, because we need to do the right thing come 2023. Okowa's vice president slot only hope for Niger Delta, IYC tells aggrieved stakeholders. Mother of APC senatorial candidate abducted in Jigawa. And the big story says Buhari to Western government, Nigeria operates own economic model, rules out fuel subsidy removal. Western countries implement fuel subsidy, asks Nigeria to remove it, and defends CBN's intervention, says only its board can sanction Emefiele for alleged infraction. Proscribed IPOB stop shielding its leader, President urges Western government. And Buhari dumps Amechi, Akpabio, others send new ministers nominee to Senate. Supreme Court cash-strapped CGN replies angry justices. And Ohaneze debunks endorsement of Tinubu as CNG clarifies position on Okowa. And the picture story here, we can see they too, as fuel scarcity bites harder in Lagos. We can see the long queue in filling stations in Lagos and even in Abuja, and even on the plateau we're experiencing the long queue as a result of the scarcity of the PMS, that's the premium motor spirits. We just hope that Ipman will do something about it for it to be available, although there's the issue now, the back and forth, where the federal government is insisting that it should be sold at 165 naira, and some filling stations, because of how it's being hoarded, they want to sell it 200 and above. But we just hope that there will be regulation on the prices so that it can go for 165, so that everyone can have access to this, the premium motor spirit. So we just hope that Ipman will still do something about it, and even as they are trying to regulate the prices, there will be availability of PMS even at the filling stations. That's all on the Guardian newspaper.
Let's take a look at the New Telegraph newspaper. Federal government to the IMF, World Bank and others, fuel subsidy removal untenable. Considers mini grid to tackle the power failure. Only CBN board can sanction Emefiele for alleged infraction. We can read detail of that on page 3. External reserve gains $242.55 million in 10 days. With detail of that story on page 17 and 18. And on Electoral Act, why the reps motion to override Buhari's assent stalled. With detail on page 5. Again, terrorists invade Autumn's village and kill 16 with the rider. The UN 4.1 million people risks hunger and death in the northeast, and we're still calling on the government, the security agency, to look into this, because we've been having issues about food crisis from the beginning of the year. The African Bank have also spoken about that. The World Bank have spoken about that, even though we know donations have been sent into the country. But we are hoping that the money will actually be directed to agriculture, because definitely it's not because I'll tell you that it's not war that kills people most, it's hunger that kills people most. And if people are hungry, they do anything to be able to sustain their life at the end of the day. We don't want to get to that point where we'll have to do anything just to get food. That means we can even kill or do anything that is illegal. So I just hope that the government will look into that. Above all, security is what we need, because if there's security, you can go to your farm, go to your backyard, go back to your village, find something, even if you cannot sell it, but you can have something for your family. But where security is not even guaranteed, at the end of the day, you even be scared to go to the farm. At the end of the day, we don't want to have reports where last year, I remember, where farmers went to the farm and they said because they did not take permission, and that was why whatever happened to them happened. This is not supposed to be it. We have freedom of movement, freedom of speech, freedom to farm. I mean, it's my farmland at the end of the day. So I hope that the government will actually look into that and will be able to avert this, talking about insecurity in our various states and also in our villages. Other stories, Okowa Ijo youth call for the Niger Delta people's support, and you can actually read detail of that on page 5. And on Oshun 2022, INEC recruit corps member people with disabilities as ACOG staff, and I'm happy that people with disabilities are being given recognition. I think yesterday was on the paper where we saw a security guard injured. I think
Like
someone else
brutally.
brutality.
Yes.
So you see things like this that are coming up is really not fair. But I'm happy that INEC has seen that even people with disabilities should be given a place, equal right also to participate in issues like election and other job opportunities.
Yes.
And the big story here on the New Telegraph: Kaduna train adoption, secure release of captives. Buhari ordered security agency, says he will endorse Tinubu as Nigeria's president. Names Amechi, Akpabio, Una and others replacement, with detail on page 2 and 3. And from CBN, 5.92 billion naira worth of loans guaranteed under the ACGSF in 2021, with detail on page 8. And Rivers, Guba, Wike, Amechi in another test of might. You can actually look that up on page 9 and 10 also of the New Telegraph newspaper. And on 2023, court to hear suit challenging article citizenship, July 20th. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, and also whatever break we'll actually let our viewers know here on the show. And on ASU, federal government has done nothing to warrant suspension of the strike. And this is coming from ASU actually. You can read more of that story on page 4. We also have a study here that says the lip piercing may damage teeth and gums. So if you are interested in this study, you can check that up on page 27. And that's all on the New Telegraph.
And on Nigerian News Direct, why federal government, World Bank and IMF economists advise on subsidy removal. This is coming from President Muhammadu Buhari. And on fuel scarcity, depot operators raise concern over cost as federal government insists on regulated price. Senate alerts military on terrorist enclave in Kwara and Niger State. The big story on ministerial appointment: Buhari nominates Umana Adegoroye, 5 others for Senate confirmation. Fidelity Partners impact hard to empower 1,052 female entrepreneurs with sales skills. And Oyetola election bid boosted as more Osun monarchs declare support for him. NGE, NPAN, NUJ, other stakeholders insist on self-regulatory framework, and details can be found in page 2. Judges, CJN battle over poor condition of service. And we know that this is not just only about the justices that are facing the poor condition of service. We had where our military, the police are also having poor condition of service, and we saw where the federal government is saying they want to look into ways they can improve the welfare service and even the pension scheme of those that have retired from active service. And now we see where our justices are complaining about the poor welfare service and their packages. I just say that we need to look into the pension scheme. We need to go back to our drawing board and see that after service, people have invested that. After active service, they have a certain amount of money that should be coming for them so they can take care of themselves and take care of their family. But you see where our pensioners have to go around the streets protesting in carrying placard for their welfare packages and for their pension to come as it's supposed to come. So we need to look into all these things. We need to look into salaries of the workforces. We need to look into salary of our civil servants, and even after active service, we need to look into their pension. Because you see, in other nations, they don't have to go through all these hurdles that our own pensioners go through before they receive their pension. Then why is our own different? We need to do the things the right way. And I hope that those that are in charge of PENCOM, they need to do the right thing, because it's not just all about sitting down on that table and carrying that name that you are the director of such board. You need to do the right thing for pensioners to feel from the impact of what you are doing. positively. They should have a positive impact of what you've done, even at service. So we just hope that what the federal government is saying about boosting the pension scheme of the pensioners and looking into it the way it come and how it's supposed to come, we just hope that it will affect everyone, because even now that our justices are complaining about the poor infrastructure and now the CJN is saying it's as a result of the problem we are going through in our country. We just need to settle all those problems, because I keep on saying one way or the other you will be affected. True. Now you can see that they are affected with the insecurity issues. They are affected with the backwardness we are going through in our nation. So we need to fix the rights moving forward. We need to look into all this.
From the World Bank, and they say Nigeria has over 11 million out of school children, the highest globally. This is really a sad one, because we're celebrating where during our democracy our president said, in fact yesterday on the paper we saw that we have actually from 160, I think from 147, we're now at 144, like a little bit step forward. We're actually looking at being global when it comes to global peace, even though countries like Ghana, Gambia and the rest are ahead of us. Now, to talk about corruption, the president also stated the fact that we are free from that corruption chart. Now, when you take a look at the out of school children, about 11 million and the highest globally, that means if you're to look at other countries, we are highest, and definitely waters will just be there, lying there. So I just hope that truly the government will look into something. We don't want to get to that point where we are actually giving the Boko Haram a lead, because they were against education, and right now as they look, most students are not even in their classroom. Take a look at our government school. It's really a sad one if you take a look at the buildings, and not even everybody can afford to go to school. So we hope that the government will truly, education is supposed to be paramount, should be at your number one priority drastically at the end of the day.
So in this moment, to believe in the education of our country, okay, we have people who go to school who still believe in education, but imagine the case of where they've been at home for this long. So one way or the other, these people are tired. Also, hustling is good, but education is the bedrock of the society. We need to look into ways people can go to school, and even as we encourage people that education is important, we need to give them the enabling environment to believe in the educational system of our country. Our educational system needs to do the right thing. We talk about the dilapidated structure. Yes, we have the dilapidated structure even in down to our public schools in our country, but we see that educational sector in our country has been pushed to the back, where the schools can just discourage people from going to school. So we need to go sensitize people on the importance of education, and that's why we have the private school. But how many people can afford to go to private, can afford to send their children to all those places? We need to do the things, we need to do things right, invest in our educational sector in our country, and also on our faces. And we see that these people become they are later on used to be thugs. They are later on used to be all this Boko Haram, because they don't even believe in the educational sector, and later they are the ones that will be used to create more menace in our country. So we need to encourage people to go to school, and as much as we encourage them to go to school, we need to fix the things right, even in the educational sector, for those children to have this the freedom to go to school. And even when they are in school, they should learn right, and they need to learn right when things are put in place the right way. You cannot expect a child to learn right in a school where there is no roof, in a school where there are no chairs for him or her to sit on. So we need to put the right things even in the educational sector. We need to fix them right. We should not have plenty school. The little we have, we should put them right. And also, even those private schools that we send our children to, we need to look into all those private schools, because to see things that outcome from all those private schools where they flog children to death. They don't have qualified teachers. So the educational board need to move around, and those schools that are not registered, they need to be closed. Yes, they should be closed down. Then the few schools we have, they should do the right thing, and also their curriculum should be up to date. So yes, those are things we need to do in looking at our educational sector.
True. Let's look at other stories still on the Voice of Liberty, and this is from Sokoto. Terrorists who attack intending pilgrims, gone down 6 policemen. This is coming from a weakness. Well, we hope that we'll check more into that. And on the fuel scarcity, Arewa youth give the federal government 5-day ultimatum to sack and probe Silva, Kyari and Farouk. The big story, which is on Kaduna train attack, remaining kidnapped passengers must be rescued alive. This is coming from President Muhammadu Buhari. And he said it 5 days after the passengers on the Kaduna Abuja born train were attacked. President Muhammadu Buhari has again directed that the remaining kidnapped railway passengers must be brought home alive, and we hope that actually his orders will be followed strictly to the latter, because yesterday we saw how snakes and scorpions are killing the remaining 50 that are there. So we hope that something will be done for them to come back home. And still on the Voice of Liberty, Buhari names nominees to replace Amechi Akpabio, others as ministers. And Buhari backs Emifede, says the CBN governor followed alternative economic model. And on alleged incompetence, CJN Tanko replies Supreme Court justice over protest letter. And another story here say under Buhari, over 3,473 killed, 2,256 abducted in 7 months. This is a report. Well, we actually hope that we'll reduce this before he actually stepped down. And we have the countdown, which is 86 days in captivity. This is the Kaduna train terror attack victims. And that's all on the Voice of Liberty.
On the Nation newspaper, President orders security is lost in Ekiti poll. BOT members ignorant. Adegoroye Umana, 5 others tipped as ministers. Sanwo-Olu head 86-man Osun election council. Petrol scarcity worsens as motorists commuters groan. Justices memo, CJN defends Supreme Court integrity, and 3 APC senators join PDP and NNPP. Marking by Buhari, we can't ignore human consequences of such actions. Only CBN can determine Emefiele's fate, and US, UK should blacklist IPOB. And we have a rider here says most Western countries are today implementing fuel subsidies. Why will we remove ours now? Lagos condemns illegal excavation of wetlands in Magodo. Details can be found in page 5. And Wike's temperament denied him vice president slot, says ex-governor. And that's all on the Nation newspaper.
And on the Daily Independence, we have Senate alerts military on terrorist air caves in Kwara and in Niger states. And the CJN admits Bahrain among the Supreme Court justice. The big story, which is on Daily Independence, saying Nigeria far better off now. Insists terrorists no longer hold any territory in Nigeria. Well, I think this is contradicting, because just here we're seeing Senate have allowed the military on terrorist hideout in Kwara and Niger. And we're having the president here saying that he's insisting that terrorists no longer hold any territory in Nigeria. Then I think we need to hear from the governor of Borno about the local government he said have been taken over by terrorists. I think we also need to hear from Niger and Kwara about some hideouts of all these terrorists, because I believe that the president cannot just operate on isolation. He have ministers, he have other people he works together with. So I believe they should come out and actually tell us why we're having the contradicting, bring to our viewers updates on issues like this here.
About or where a church was attacked, people were killed. What about Kaduna, where on Sunday people were abducted in a church service? 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. People cannot move freely any longer because of abduction. Now we saw where Jigawa State, the senator's mother was abducted. So what is Mr. President saying concerning this? We need to look into all these things. People now know what is happening. People are not ignorant about all this any longer. So we need, if we really need to find answer to all these things, then we need to admit to our incompetence. Admit that this is the problem. Not that you come up and tell us that there is no issue of insecurity when it is glaring that insecurity have become the order of the day in our country. We need to look into all those things, and just as he has given orders to the military officers to fish out those people and to rescue those people who have been abducted alive, we just hope that they will go with this order, because we know the military, it is obey with order. So I just hope that they are out there looking for how ways they can rescue those people, and even others who have been abducted. We need to rescue those people. Then we'll look out for ways peace can be restored. We see where foreign nations have to intervene because of the issue of insecurity. Foreign nations are concerned about insecurity in our country. Then this is not time for Mr. President to come up and say we are free from insecurity, because it is glaring that insecurity has become the order of the day in our country. So we need to do the right thing in tackling insecurity.
Yes, let's look at other writers still following that story. He said most of their leaders now desist, where I know they're still recruiting more people. And he said others rescue of the remaining adopted train passengers. Well, we keep our fingers crossed on that. You can read detail of that story on page 6 of the Daily Independent. Other stories still on the paper: Buhari replaces Amechi Akpabio Wajuba, and you can find that on page 7. APC loses 3 lawmakers to PDP and NNPP. And NNPP board vows to keep oil gas industry contract open for scrutiny, and we can read more of that on page 7 too. And on the Ekiti election, National Peace Committee wants vote buying crooked prosecuted. And on Electoral Act, we have Reps Deputy Speaker shut down motion to override Buhari's veto. EFCC docked retired prisons comptroller over 8.7 million naira land scam. And the last story I'll be taking is why I can't challenge Soludo's victory in court. This is coming from Uba, and we can read more of that on page 10. That's all on the Daily Independent.
Thank you very much, Sele. But before we continue with our papers, we'll be right back after this timeout, where our phone lines will be open for you to call on stories that interest you. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned on Equa Television. The program is the daily from the Dailies on Equa Television. Thank you for staying tuned. We'll be reviewing papers, and we'd like you to call on stories that interest you. We've talked about the replacement of some senators and even ministers, and also the statement by Mr. President on insecurity, saying security is being restored more than how he met it in 2015. We have so many stories that we've read on our papers. We would like you to call us on stories that interest you, and even air your views on what interests you. Then we'd like you to drop your comments on our official Facebook page. I would like to take the Punch newspaper here. Cost of powering telecom service to hit 720 billion naira. While on presidential poll, Atiku raises team to woo Wike, Rivers governor's camp adamant. Buhari nominates 7 ministers, 3 APC senators dump party. And body of benchers raises peace panel as Supreme Court justices fights the CJN. Banks record 1.2 trillion naira non-performing loans, with FAAC states to lose 19 billion naira in oil and gas revenue, and this is a record from the World Bank. We have Mr. Victor from Taraba. Good morning. Hello, Mr. Victor. think we're having issues connecting with Mr. Victor. I'd like you to call back. Then still on the Punch, the big story says fuel scarcity worsens. Black market booms at 300 naira per litre. Marketers insist on price increase. Fuel station adjust pump hod products. Motorists lament 100% fare hike. Marketers differ on 1 billion naira pay. And this is coming from President Muhammadu Buhari. The picture story, you can see core members in Lagos, Ondo, Rivers and Nasarawa State. Hello, Mr. Haruna from Katsina.
How can the president say Nigeria is far better than the way he makes it? It can't be possible like that now. On the killing now, people are killing in Katsina, in his hometown. People are killing every day. Even yesterday night, you can't sleep. You hear a gunshot. People are running for their own life. And he's telling us that there is no peace in Nigeria. Nigeria is not better than 10 naira. Is that the way we need it? Gas cooking is 800 naira now. This is almost 900 naira yesterday I bought it. And he's telling people that Nigeria is better than the way we need it now. So Mr. President has to wake up before he turns off. If not, nobody will contest from Katsina and win a presidential election again. Even as me, I have collected my DVC. I will not vote for anybody that come out from North again. I'm from North. I'm saying it. I'm from North, and I don't believe they are doing their administration is not good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haruna, for your comments. I see this is coming from a Nigerian who know what is happening. He's comparing the prices of the petrol. He say even in Kaduna, he bought it at 210. And we see the cooking gas, we see the prices escalating. And even in Kaduna, he said in his community yesterday, they were running helter-skelter because of gunshots. So talking about the statement when Mr. President said that security have been restored, we have Mr. Martins from Akwa Ibom. Good morning.
Comments on the president's speech saying that Nigeria was, or Nigeria is better than when he meant it. I want to say that it's a lie. Here, someone can barely feed. A family can barely feed. Unlike before, a tin of pig milk was 150 naira. Now it's 350 naira. Fuel was 87 naira. Now it's 200 naira. You can count it. How would you come and tell us that Nigeria is better off before? It's a very wrong statement. And if it's in the street, I think that people will kick against it and people will throw in pure water. Because Nigeria is very, very angry at the moment. Nobody should come and speak anyhow to us because we are not fools in the streets. We know what is happening. If he's come to talk about the association, I think federal government should do something about it. Over 6 months now, students are on the street. And they will come and tell us that Nigerians are not doing well in academic sector or students are not reading. Students are not performing well. How would they perform after 6 months? They are staying after 6 months in the house. Many of them can't even work because there's no way to work. Many are hungry in the house. How would they be able to make it in academic or to challenge other people in academic sector? It can't be done that way. Please, I think the federal government should do something about it. Students should come out from the house and start their school. And they have been delayed for many months. People supposed to have been, millions of people supposed to graduate before now, but they are still in the house. Someone who started school at the age of 20, hoping to finish it at the age of 24. Now you will end it at the age of 30. And they will say that if you are up to 30, you will not go to youth savings again. You can see they are the cause of all this issue. I think Nigerians should wake up. We are too, we have been in this slumber for a very long time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Martins, for your comment. I would like to read a comment from Mr. Augustine Shemang. He says, "My two courageous sisters on board, a glorious morning." Shemang responding from Kaduna. "Let us say it as it is, that all nooks and crannies of Nigerian state is under siege by hoodlums who act and go without anything being done about it. The only language of APC and Mr. President is they are always on top of the situations, or either they'll bring the culprits. I don't know if that book isn't full. The uncertainties before that is ravaging is enormous. May God grant us the zeal to use our PVCs wisely to elect and focus visionary and God-fearing leaders comes 2023. Amen. Remain blessed." Shemang from Ngwambulu, Sabon Tasha, Kaduna. Thank you, Mr. Shemang, Augustine Shemang, for your comments. Still on the Punch newspaper, the picture story, we can see core members in Lagos, Ondo, Rivers, and Nasarawa State. Sacking, we have Mr. Victor from Akwa Ibom. Good morning, Mr. Victor.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Victor.
Yeah, this is Victor calling from Akwa Ibom. I got
I think there's an issue connecting Mr. Victor to us. Do well to call us back. And NYC swears in corpus, warns against fake news. Council films probe state for sacking 9,392 teachers. And we see this in Kaduna State, where the governor went through the educational sector and he sacked teachers that are not qualified in the education. But we need to look into other things. In as much as education is priority, we need to look into security in Kaduna State, because we cannot have teachers, we cannot have the schools open when people cannot have access to go to school. So we need to look into education. We have Mr. Aaron from Cross River. Good morning.
The community concerning institutions. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go straight to the point.
State government make it say that community if they don't make employment how consumers from are working from good. How can they be working for how many years and 2 years now? It's not good. This government should do our own contribution. This government should please.
Thank you, Mr. Aaron, for your call. And still on the Punch newspaper, 2,079 dying, 68 mass killing. This is a report. On Electoral Act, reps move to override Buhari's veto stalled. And Ogun Court remands 5 more suspected monarchs killers. BRT driver flees as crushed mother dies and daughter hospitalized. On pipeline vandalism, IPOP dismisses allegation as Buhari blames group. And that's all on the Punch newspaper. This is the last caller. I would like to take Mr. Razak from Ghana.
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Razak.
Alhaji Razak calling from Ghana.
Okay. Go on with your comments.
Yeah. My concern is about what is going on, what we are discussing. Hello, this is Razak coming from Ghana.
Yes, go on with your comments.
Hello, yeah, and my contribution was Nigeria should be blessed. Nigeria is blessed.
True.
I'm Razak.
calling from Ghana.
Okay.
With the lots of resources, compared with other West African countries, Nigeria should find themselves there. We are always talking about the petroleum, the fuel costs of the high cost of petroleum. When you go to all West Africa countries, it's only Nigeria who has got the privilege to benefit from oil. I always hear people talking about Nigeria that there is a problem, there is a problem. We thank our God for even
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Razak said Nigeria is blessed, and truly Nigeria is blessed with the natural and mineral resources. All we need to do is to invest in all these things and put it in the right place for us to grow in our country and even for our economy to be boosted. Because now we see that economy is really on the red alert, and we need to put all these things in the right places so that they can boost our economy and even help us in having infrastructure and having foreign expatriates coming to our country and believing in our country, and that we need to put our hands together for the growth and betterment of our country.
True, Tosin, and just like you said, we are blessed, but all we need right now is the right leaders to be able to utilize these resources that we have. So I just hope that truly will be wise and not just keep our PVC at home, but we'll use it effectively to make the change that we all desire to see somewhere.
Yes, our callers and even those Martins from Akwa Ibom, Mr. Victor from Akwa Ibom, Aaron from Cross River, and Mr. Razak from Ghana. Thank you for your comment. Let's do this same time, same station tomorrow. Nigeria Now comes at 10 a.m. Stay tuned and have a blessed day.